Hi, my name is Dr. Fox, licensed psychologist in the state of Texas, and in this video, we're going to talk about the 17 common signs of mental illness in adults, adolescents, and young children. Now, the symptoms that we're going to talk about are things everyone experiences at different times, but they become a part of a mental illness when they are intense, when they're prolonged, and they cause what's called socioeconomic dysfunction, and that's number 17. So we'll go over that and we'll get in detail with what that is when we hit number 17. But learning about these symptoms in yourself or your adolescent or even in young children, this can help you stop them so you can seek out appropriate treatment. That's the point of this video, is hoping that you can identify some of these symptoms in yourself. You may want to keep a pad with you or keep your phone with you where you can write notes about, yeah, that one kind of fits or it doesn't. And maybe gauge how severe this is and then relate it to how much socioeconomic dysfunction, number 17, this causes for you. So what we're going to do is we're first going to go through the 17. Then we're going to talk specifically about those issues and concerns in young children that can be indicative or indicators of later mental health issues. So stick with me. Please like, share, and subscribe. And let's get into it. So the very first mental illness symptom that we're going to talk about is extreme worry or fear. Now, worry and fear is common in most of us, right? And it's usually a response to something in the environment, something doesn't feel safe. This is a reaction that keeps us safe. Extreme worry and fear can be very debilitating, particularly if it lasts over a period of time. So that extreme worry and fear, sometimes it comes out of past experiences that you may have had, concerns about what might happen, about where the world is going, where your life is going, things like that. So this extreme worry and fear, this is something that would impact how you live your life and how you relate to others. So it's important, right? Write that down as to how much extreme worry and fear, not just worry and fear, but how much extreme worry and fear, right, that you have. So this would be that it's influencing how you see yourself and how you see others and perhaps how you behave. The next one is feeling extremely sad or down. Now, we're all going to feel sad or down at times. I think that in our society, and this is all around the world, that we now perceive others that having an emotional response is a negative, but we're emotional beings. I think we have to accept that. And that we are going to have emotional reactions to things, not only like number one, that extreme worry and fear, right? But we're also going to feel sad and down sometimes. But is it extreme? And that extreme sadness and feeling down, this isn't like you get a flat tire and you can't go to work. This isn't that you get a bad grade at school or your boss gives you a negative evaluation. This is that feeling of down and sadness, that it is so intense that it's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to eat. It influences, right, your eating. It influences your exercising. It influences how you're taking care of yourself. It influences how and what you're doing in your life and interacting with others. Your interests start to wane, which is the things you once enjoyed. Like, let's say you're a big golfer, but now you just don't have the energy to golf anymore. You just don't care about going golfing. That's what we're talking about as indicators of mental illness. So it'd be this extreme sadness and feeling down. Number 3 is disorganized thinking or difficulty concentrating and learning. Now this is tricky. So Steve Jobs kind of ruined this for all of us, right? The iPhone, smartphones, things like that. So what's happened is because we rely on our phones for our memory and for concentration, because we don't need to remember anything. We are adaptive beings. So we've adapted to these devices that are our memory, right? That they remember things from the past. They remember who won the Super Bowl in, 2014, who has jumped the highest, or Guinness Book World Records or whatever it is. So we don't remember those things anymore. This isn't what we're talking about. What we're talking about for mental illness, this disorganized thinking or difficulty concentrating and learning. This is that there are things in your mind that keep distracting you. These are, and it's not that worry, fear, and sadness. What it is you just can't focus. You just can't do that because as much as you try to focus, you're constantly feeling this sense of overwhelm, difficulty really kind of reining it in, even if you remove, right, some external stimuli, which could be like having music on or having the TV on in the background or whatever it may be. But if all is quiet, right, and you're not tired and you feel energy, right? You have a good level of energy. You're just not able to focus. Sometimes it can be that you're having these thoughts, right, that are coming into your head. And they're not necessarily anxiety, fearful, or sad thoughts, but they're distracting thoughts, disorganized thoughts. It's hard to get your thoughts together in a sentence to communicate what you mean. And it's hard when you read things in order to interpret what you're reading. Now, it's not necessarily sentence comprehension, and I don't mean for this to be confusing, but I want to be as precise as possible. Sentence comprehension, our sentence comprehension levels, I believe, have gone down because I think it's harder for us to attend because of smartphones and things like that, and we get all of this information that gets just hit into our brains all the time. So because of that, we're at this constant, just dopamine flood all the time. And I think that what we're talking about is something very, very different than that. This difficulty concentrating and learning is that we're not slowing down, we're not paying attention to what we're reading, not paying attention to the information. This is different. This is because you can't get it together. You can't get those thoughts together. You can't extrapolate what you're reading. You can't extrapolate the information that you need because it's not coming together correctly. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4 is intense mood changes. This can be overwhelming highs and feelings of euphoria. So this is, right, that sometimes your mood spikes up where you feel you're just the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? Where you have this overwhelming feeling of high, of just excitement, enthusiasm. You want to meet people. You want to do things. You may be making some bad choices for yourself, right, during these moments. These mood changes where you spike up, you get all these ideas that you think are great, brilliant ideas. So when those periods of time, when those instances last for certainly 4 days or more, you definitely need to see someone. But it doesn't last that way for everybody. Sometimes people will have them for an afternoon, and it's not when you're using stimulants, which includes caffeine, right? It's not when you've had a lot to drink or anything like that. This is when you haven't used any substances, you're not under the influence of anything, and you get this high, right? This feeling of euphoria, that everything's great, everything fits, oh my God, da, da, da. That is an indicator of mental illness, right? So write that down, and then how much does this occur for you? Then number 5 is you have sustained or intense feelings of irritability or anger. We are a very angry world. And I think in large part, that is because we are used to getting our needs met, or many of our needs met, instantaneously. And when I teach this to my students or when I go out and I'm teaching other mental health providers, I use the example of Google Maps. Google Maps kind of spoiled us a little bit, right? Think about it, right? Google Maps, right? We're in there, right? You type in your address where it's going, and for some reason it doesn't pop up right away. Don't you get this little burst of frustration and agitation, right? You're like, oh, right? That's a sense of entitlement, right? Because you feel like you're entitled to an immediate direction for Google Maps to immediately tell you where you're going, when you're going, and how you're going to get there. So that sense of just irritability is a sense of entitlement. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about, this is sustained and intense feelings of irritability and anger. So whereas that frustration, right, when you're driving, somebody cuts you off, you take it personal, stuff like that. That's not what we're talking about. This is more than that. This is more intense than that. This is higher than that. That irritability, that burning and bubbling sense of rage that you have inside. Remember, it is sustained, which means over a long period of time, and it is intense, so it is at a high degree, okay? That is an indicator of mental illness, so be sure to write that down and rate it. How often is this occurring for you? How severe is it for you? That's important as well. Number 6 is avoiding friends and social activity. Now, this could be due to number 2, which is extreme sadness and feeling down. It could also be due to number 1, which is worry and fear. So avoiding friends or social activities. This is that you are avoiding others because something is going on, a perception. You don't want to engage with them. You're disengaging socially. You're pulling back from others, and there is a negative consequence to it, right? Your friends are noticing, hey, what's up with him or her? Your boss is noticing it, or your teachers and your professors are noticing it. People are starting to take notice. Hey, what's going on? Why are they always in the room? Why are they always separating? Why are they always... And it could also be that if you're somebody who is like a big Twitterer, yeah, that's right. That's my own word. I made that up. Twitterer, you like that? Or a snapper, that, or whatever thing, the Instagrammer, where you're putting things in. You're not even interested in that. You've detached from that. So you're removing yourself socially, social activities from friends. You're avoiding them. So that is another indicator of mental illness. Number 7 is you have difficulties understanding or relating to other people. You feel like you just don't connect, like there's this disconnect. And it's that you may want to connect with others. You may want to increase those level of social skills of connecting with others and things like that. But you have difficulty kind of understanding why you don't have the sense of fitting in, difficulty as to how to fit in, what you can do to be liked, to be noticed, to be appreciated. Now, if you're a teenager, everybody goes through this. I went through it. Everybody who is out of their teens has felt this too, right? So this can also be very normal, is that you feel weird, you feel like you don't fit in, something feels strange. That's not mental illness. That's part of development. What we're talking about here is that you don't understand relating to others and you have difficulty connecting to others, and this becomes pervasive. This is something that is not only at school, it's not only at home, it is pervasive across contexts. And perhaps that, you go inward more often, that you've created an inner world for yourself because of that difficulty understanding why are people connecting like that? Why are people relating like that? Things like that. So you don't have that level of understanding about connecting to others and how to do it. Number 8, this is huge, and this is a worldwide issue. This is changes in sleeping habits or feeling tired and low energy. We live in a world, not just in a country, and I'm in Texas, so I'm in the U.S., right? This is not just the U.S. that is sleep deprived. The world is sleep deprived. Sleep is critical. Sleep is restorative. We have to be getting enough sleep. We don't. If we don't have enough sleep, our brains don't function as well. When over time our brains don't function very well, it tends to increase the probability of mental health symptoms, many of the ones that I'm talking about here. So it's important that you're getting your sleep. Be on a schedule as much as you can. It is important to try to go to sleep at the same time every night, right? It is so important. Now, are there changes in your sleeping habits? Perhaps, and this is outside of moving into a new dorm room, moving into a new house, that a new partner is sleeping over or whatever it is. But so this is different. This is changes in sleeping habits. So you're not sleeping or working shift work, right? This is different than that. This is that your sleeping habits are changing and you don't know why, right? It's very restless sleep. By the way, alcohol does not help you sleep better. It might put you to sleep, but it actually creates what's called restless sleep. Restless sleep is not restorative. So it's important to know that, okay? So that's just a little aside for you. So changes in sleep, feeling tired and low energy. Not enough sleep, you're going to be tired, low energy. It's also going to add to irritability, anger, right? Difficulty, mood changes, feeling down and worried, nervous, all those other things. So really, number 8 is pretty critical, is those sleeping habits or feeling tired and low energy all the time. So really, even though these are together, I want you to think, okay, are your sleep habits steady? So think about that, right? Write that down in your pad. Say, hey, how are my sleep habits? Are they consistent? Is it restorative? Do I wake up feeling exhausted and tired? If so, something's not right. If you have the means, you may want to look at undergoing a sleep study, okay? But if it is stable and if there hasn't been great changes, what about feeling tired and low energy? Where is that coming from? Maybe it's your diet. On Instagram, I really like, and there's also shows that were done. It's Fit to Fat to Fit. And I love this guy. He's very positive, and he talks about, the importance of a healthy lifestyle, the importance of exercising, the importance of taking care of yourself. It's wonderful. So you check that out. So it's fit to the number 2, fat to fit. So it's very, very interesting. And there's 2 seasons. He had a TV show for a little while. Now he does it on Instagram, and it's really cool. But anyway, so check that out. But that could be why too. Diet is so critical. That's so important as well. That could lead to feeling tired and low energy. A lot of junk in, you're not going to get good energy, right? So you're going to have bad output. Okay, so that's number 8. Number 9 is changes in eating habits. Surprise, right? Such as increased hunger or lack of appetite. Now, where's that coming from? Why is that? What is that change about? So write that down, right? What is the severity or the change in eating habits, such as increased hunger or lack of appetite? Those 2 extremes. Where is it coming from? That is an indicator of mental illness. It certainly can be. One of these factors, by the way, one of these 17 is not enough for it to be mental illness. Mental illness requires more than one single component, okay? It's important to realize that. So how many of these are impacting your life and how you live it? Okay, so it's important. So number 9, changes in eating habits, such as increased hunger or lack of appetite. Number 10, changes in sex drive. So a decrease in sex drive or a great increase in sex drive. Where is that coming from? Again, this cannot be using substances. This is separate. This is when you're sober. Okay, so where is that change coming from? That could be indicative of mental health concerns. Is your sex drive consistent? Is it stable over the course of time? Does it fit with your partner's sex drive, right? It's always good to have partners, right, that have equal sex drives. That's always good. It helps to nurture the relationship. When they're different, there tends to be other issues and concerns that tend to come out of that. Number 11, difficulty distinguishing reality, delusions or hallucinations, right, in which someone experiences or senses things that aren't actually there. So this is that hallucinations. Now, there's also folks with borderline personality disorder and other disorders may have what are called dissociative episodes. This is a separation from reality or the current environment, and they sort of drift a little bit. They sense a sense of detachment. So that's difficulty distinguishing what's going on around you. You may hear things, see things, smell things, taste things, feel as though you are touching things that aren't actually there. This is a strong indicator that there is mental health concerns present. Okay, so again, rate that. How often do you have that? Have you had that before? But it's when you're sober, not when you're using any substances. Number 12 is a lack of ability to recognize changes in your own feelings, behavior, or personality. This is also called lack of insight or lack of ability to perceive reality, right, of what's going on with you. So how well do you understand and rate your feelings, behavior, insights, right? How much in touch are you? Maybe not the best sentence, but you get it, right? How much in touch, because that rhymes, I kind of like it, right? But how much in touch are you with your level of insight into your emotions, where they're coming from, about your responses, how appropriate they are? Are you able to gauge your response based upon the circumstances that are occurring? Now, those with personality disorders and other types of mental illnesses can have difficulty regulating their insight, understanding their level of insight about interacting with others, connecting with others, and what that's like. That's that level of insight. They understand where they're coming from, where they are, and how they're reacting and relating to others, that level of insight, and how they feel about it. Okay, that's number 12. Number 13 is overuse of alcohol or drugs. This can certainly be indicative of mental illness, right? Certainly a substance use disorder. So it is important. How often are you using? Is it causing socioeconomic dysfunction? Do you find yourself thinking about alcohol or drugs throughout the day? Do you spend a lot of effort in order to acquire alcohol or drugs? So overuse of alcohol or drugs is number 13. Number 14, multiple physical complaints without obvious causes. So this could be headaches, stomach aches, vague and ongoing kind of aches and pains. Now, interestingly, in many cultures around the world, that a lot of folks that have mental health issues, indicators of mental illness, particularly anxiety and depression, that culturally it's not accepted. So what happens is these manifest, show up as somatic complaints. Somatic complaints are exactly what we're talking about. Number 14, these physical complaints, you go to the doctor, there's no cause for it. They can't really identify the root of it. So I've had a number of clients that are from different cultures around the world, and they have very, very extreme or severe anxiety. But they struggle with this idea that it can't really be panic or anxiety. I mean, that doesn't make any sense, but I can't get rid of these headaches. And when you break down when do these headaches occur, how often are they occurring, in what situation, you see that there are components of anxiety there, components of panic, and they're manifesting as somatic complaints, as headaches, stomach aches, things like that. So rate that. How often when you go to the doctor does it get ruled out? And like, I don't know what it is. And then that could be because of a mental health concern, mental illness. Number 15, thinking or planning to harm yourself or end your life. This is really, really important that if you are thinking this, that you contact someone that can help you, that you reach out to someone that can help you because you are important and you have value. That is a definite indicator that something is wrong. Okay. Interestingly, is that 99.9% of all issues that we encounter can be resolved. What happens is depression, anxiety, mental illness, and the various symptoms that we're talking about here, they create a degree of distortion. That distortion makes these experiences, these situations, feel like that 0.1%, but it's not. And it's so important that you realize that if you're thinking of harming yourself, if you're thinking of ending your life, that you reach out to someone else, reach out to someone that can help you. That is critical. I will put the phone number and as well as contact information in the comment section of this video so that you can reach out to someone who can help you, because that's so, so important. And that is a huge indicator that something is wrong. And addressing that issue sooner is better than later. The sooner you address these issues, the better and the greater control you can have over it and the greater impact you can have on changing your life and moving forward. Number 16, an intense distress of weight gain or concern with appearance. Now, this can be that you are hyper-focused on not just how you look, right? I mean, we all have to have a degree of vanity, and we all have to a drive to look good, or, you wear this shirt or these pants or those shoes, I don't know, whatever it is, fashion, that you want to look a particular way. To a degree, that's fine, right? It's about presentation, that's okay. But what we're talking about here is this intense sense of weight gain or concern with appearance, is that's how you build your life. And one of the issues is with the Instagram culture, so to speak, or the generation, is that because of Instagram and because of social media, that people spend all this time all to take one snap, to take one picture, and that it has to look perfect. And now with filters is that people are actually considering or going to plastic surgeons in order to get their face to look like the filters. Those are indicators of mental illness, is that's that difficulty with accepting who you are and accepting your own differences. Differences are great. The Rolling Stones, it's a rock band. Hopefully you know who they are. But if you don't, look them up. They're great. But one of the things that made them great is that they used to say that they left the garage in the songs, which means that there's a lot of imperfection in their early work. And imperfections are part of what makes life great. And, it's that intense distress over weight gain. It's that intense over appearance. And that's the mental health component. And also, I think recognizing it's okay for us to be a little different. It's okay. Our weight is going to fluctuate. Even if you are living a healthy lifestyle, you're going to see that your weight changes throughout the day anyway. That doesn't mean that then you have to be restrictive or engaging in bulimia or purging or binging or anything like that. So those are indicators of mental health. And number 17, this is one of those underlying critical components. This is a lack of ability to carry out daily activities or handle daily problems or stress. And what happens, this is due to 1 to 16. This is due to those issues. These mental health issues that have come up that are present impact how you live your life, impact how you connect to others, impact how you see yourself. And they cause socioeconomic dysfunction. They cause dysfunction socially. They cause dysfunction economically or academically. So when these things cause that, that is a big indicator that a mental illness may be present and that you need to go and talk to someone. You need to get it ruled out. And I think it's really important to make sure that who you speak to, and sometimes this goes for YouTube videos and internet as well, make sure that the person who is giving you their credentials actually has those credentials. Like, I'm actually licensed in Texas. I actually have a doctorate in psychology. I actually have clients that I work with and things like that. So it's important that the person who's relaying information to you is doing so from experience, that they're not just calling themselves doctor, that they're not just saying that, oh yeah, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. Make sure that there's something behind that, because you want to make sure that who you go to and the information that you're getting is from a reliable source. That's so important, because in order to deal with these things, a lot of these things can get real serious and out of hand if not treated appropriately. And if you have that socioeconomic dysfunction, it is important to get this dealt with sooner than later. Don't wait until you're failing out of school. Don't wait until your boss fires you. Don't wait until your spouse or partner leaves you. If you know that you're having these issues, address them. Go to talk to someone. Work through it. That's so, so important. Now, we've gone through 1 through 17, and that is for adults and adolescents. So let's talk about the kiddos. Let's talk about those in childhood. Now, mental health conditions can also begin in those before adolescence. So because, though, they're still learning to identify and talk about thoughts and emotions, their most observable symptoms are behavioral. So they may not have the skill and ability to accurately communicate and clearly communicate their feelings, thoughts, and emotions. Okay? So because of that, that's why we have to look at behavioral indicators of those in childhood. Okay? So some of those symptoms include, changes in school performance. Okay, so all of a sudden someone's doing well, maybe they're a B student, A B student, whatever it is, and now those grades start to drop. What's that indicator? Okay, that's important. Extreme worry or anxiety. Also, for instance, this could be fighting or avoiding going to bed or avoiding going to school. It's this change. Now there's all this worry, this fear, this concern. Maybe they're crying more easily. What are those issues? Attending to those issues. Okay, also hyperactive behavior. Now, hyperactive behavior, boys are usually hyperactive, right? They don't like to sit still. They like to move. They like to do things, stuff like that. And girls, in a way, depending on, I think girls are a little different. They tend to show a hyperactivity in a little different way. It may not necessarily just being go, 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 but it can be talking a lot. It can be maybe being more social than others, whereas boys, it's more running and extreme exercise, and girls can be more hyperactive, always wanting to click, connect. But again, what is that about? Is there a school performance indicator? Is there a detriment, right? What's their socioacademic impairment? Okay, to hyperactive behavior. Recurrent nightmares, important as well. Remember, sleep, same for kids. Sleep is even more important for kiddos. Okay, so also, are there recurrent nightmares? It's important to take them in, and you can process nightmares. You can get a handle on nightmares. Usually journaling. For kids, that's a little harder. Sometimes there's art therapy. Again, talking to a child psychologist, a specialist in treating children, I think is very important. Mental health concerns in children is very important. So, identifying the right person who can work with your child if nightmares are happening, working through those nightmares. And then recurrent disobedience or aggression is another one. And so you have to look at this, is this coming out of nowhere? Was there something that happened in the family? Is it because of divorce? Is it because of loss of a parent? Is it because of something has occurred? And now the child is acting out in a disobedient or aggressive manner. And lastly, recurrent temper tantrums. Perhaps the child hasn't had temper tantrums in the past, and now they're having them. Where's that coming from? What is that about? And these are indicators that, you should bring your child to a mental health provider. What I will say for the kiddos, for the children, I am a firm believer in family therapy. I'm not a believer in dropping the kid off and then you get to tear off for 50 minutes or however long, and then you come back and hope that the therapist has fixed your kid. I'm not a proponent of that, because if you look at it from a systemic perspective, what that is that the individual, the child, which is usually one of the weakest members in the family, right? And you can say, oh, yeah, right, the whole family resolves around him or her. That's not what I mean. They're the weakest member to influence change. So what happens is you need the family to go in, and the family has to change. You can't just expect that child to change and then all of a sudden everything is just going to fall into place. It doesn't work like that. It's very, very difficult. Family therapy can be much more not only cost efficient because it can take less sessions, but it can also really sort of unify a family, bring a family together and make them stronger, and also recognize that working together as a family, that together you can overcome issues and concerns, and you can totally do it. I hope that you found the 17 common signs of mental illness in adults, adolescents, and young children. I hope you found it beneficial. Thank you very much. Please like, share, and subscribe, and please leave any comments. I appreciate it. And thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.